This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter, and this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello, and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And you can also support us on Patreon at Patreon.com/ObsessiveViewer, where you can pledge as little as $1 a month and get access to a special RSS feed that's strictly for Patreon subscribers, where we release regular content that is fun and enjoyable, and it's not as good as the full episodes, but still pretty solid. I'm your host, the aforementioned Matt Hurt, and with me today is recurring co-host Robert Fekkes.
Hello.
Hello. And he can be found on Twitter at RAFekkes and on Instagram at Nerdster330, and also Snapchat at Nerdster330.
That's right.
Yeah, Fekkes, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am doing quite well.
Happy Boxing Day.
Oh, yes. Happy Boxing Day to you as well. Yes. I'm realizing I'm woefully unprepared because I did not make any notes for this episode. So this is fun. But yeah, we ended the Patreon, clip with me teasing, information about an Aquaman thing with Entourage. You're not familiar with this reference?
I am not. Yeah, I thought you were trying to make like a Titanic joke with water stuff. I don't know.
No. Well, and I'm sad to report that I know so much about this because I think Entourage is just a terrible show.
Well, I've never watched a single episode of Entourage.
Which is why you don't know this reference.
Okay.
So first of all, I've been listening to Comedy Bang Bang and like their back episodes from like way back in like 2009, 2010. And I don't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast, but they do, they used to do, when Entourage was airing, they used to do like, Entourage recaps. And it would be basically, they would play the theme song for Entourage, and then the host would be like, all right, this week on Entourage, and then pause, and then he would say something completely insignificant, like, Vinny joined Facebook. Because that's what that show was. That show was just rich people becoming richer, famous people becoming more famous, and like the most hardship that they faced was whether or not to get like a 3-picture deal or a 2-picture deal. Like it was very much just a really
Sounds fun.
It wasn't. I really didn't like it. But there was a plot thread where a recurring plot where Vinny Chase, the movie star of the show, played by Adrian Grenier, he he was up for the role of Aquaman in the James Cameron directed Aquaman movie. Spoiler alert, he got the role. We actually see a small clip from the movie of him like on a dock, and he's running and he's about to jump into the water, and then the power goes out in the theater and stuff.
Was he a serviceable Aquaman?
I don't know. Probably, he was no Jason Momoa.
No,
I'll say that.
Few are.
I know, but yeah. So that was interesting. I do like as much shit as I give Entourage, I do appreciate that they like in their world, like James Cameron made Aquaman, because that's like, I don't see James Cameron making like a comic book movie, but like Aquaman,
but if he would,
yeah,
Aquaman would be like one of the ones that I would see James Cameron.
Yeah,
and maybe that's just because he did Titanic and loves to do undersea stuff.
Exactly, he has such a boner for the water.
He does.
That I can see him doing that. But yeah, so that's the little Entourage thing this episode. Yeah, and let's see. So this is technically a bonus episode, so I don't technically have like any stuff to bring up, but I do want to touch on one thing that happened on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
So, today is December 26th, and on December 24th, Kevin Spacey broke his silence. If you remember, much earlier this year, the beginning of this year, he basically was ostracized from Hollywood in the public eye because it came to light that he was a sexual predator, alleged, but Anthony Rapp came forward and told about a situation in which he was physically and sexually assaulted by Kevin Spacey when Anthony Rapp was a teenager, and then
14, I believe.
14. And when Kevin Spacey was like 24.
But it's okay though, because he was drunk.
Yeah, and it's okay because he's gay.
Yeah.
If you remember his statement was he tried to deflect, which in retrospect, like I can understand, like it's a bold strategy, Cotton. But
Well, who among us didn't know that he was gay though?
Well, that's the thing. Like it was the worst, like kept secret, which is like that's fine. Like whatever,
it's no big deal.
But what I think, like if I were to put myself into that mindset, I would think, okay, this is 2018. We're living in a world where, not to get political, but like the president and the president's office will deflect all kinds of stuff to get the public eye away from something. Oh, we had the highest attended inauguration. No, you didn't. Oh, alternative facts, and like just they'll brush it aside. So like, yeah, I can kind of see the thought process of Kevin Spacey being like, I've decided to live as a gay man now, and then failing miserably at delivering that.
I guess. I don't know. I just feel like Kevin Spacey's been completely tone deaf about this entire situation,
absolutely.
and I just.
Oh yeah, that's why I said like it's a bold strategy for him to do that like earlier this year, but it's like it seems like it's the only gambit that he had, which is a shitty thing to say because it's like there's serious allegations and it's a serious issue, but it's like if you're going to try to deflect,
like was he going for sympathy? It's like, oh, he was gay, and I
honestly don't know.
I really don't know what the. I don't know.
I think it was a Hail Mary to try to deflect attention. But Christmas Eve, oh my God.
Threw another Hail Mary.
Yeah, like I don't even know what the fuck it was. He basically, so as a consequence of him being, Me Too'd, he was fired from House of Cards. They
replaced in what was the name of that movie?
Oh, replaced in All the Money in the World.
All the Money in the World.
Yeah, and but he was dropped from House of Cards entirely. Like the entire last season had they kept their distance from him. They did not even it was kind of interesting, and I mean that show was absolutely god awful in its final season, but
I didn't even bother to watch it.
It was terrible, but and it seemed like they were overcorrecting too. Like it was weird. There's a longer conversation to be had, but anyway.
And you've had it, so
yeah. So Christmas Eve, he released a 3.5. I'm burping. Hang on. Or about to burp. I'm good. Anyway, Christmas Eve, he released about a 3.5-minute video of him in presumably his kitchen wearing a Christmas sweater, speaking in character as Francis Underwood, talking about the character Frank Underwood while also commenting on the allegations against him in a roundabout way.
Well, not only that, it's all due to he's now being formally charged.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's formally charged for, I think, sexual assault.
Yeah.
For the busboy at a Nantucket restaurant.
Apparently, it's on. I read the news today. There's video of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. And see, also shout out to the Nantucket restaurant. It's the Club Car, which was featured heavily in beloved 90s sitcom Wings, which took place on Nantucket.
Okay. Yeah. There's a random plug of the day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't read anything about the charges or anything, but yeah, it's this video was just so freaking bizarre. Did you watch it?
I read the transcript of it. Okay. I did not watch it. But yeah, he's just kind of like saying he's paid his dues to what he did, and he will not pay for what he didn't do.
Yeah, something like really cryptic and weird about that.
Yeah, and I think he's referring to like, hey, look, I may have fucked up when years ago, but I will not take the blame for this new criminal allegation.
Right.
But it's just, I can't imagine, like, who, did he talk to anybody about this? Did he call his agent, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking, and his agent's like, go for it, man.
Right.
It's gonna work out. People loved Frank Underwood.
Like, there is literally no, I can't fathom how anyone would think that this was a good idea.
I just,
like, at all.
Who's got his ear?
Yeah. And like, he was, like, the way he was talking was like, he was implying that like, we as an audience love his work so much that we're willing to overlook, heinous acts of sexual assault and terrible things.
To be fair, and I bring this up quite a bit, it seems the general public has no problem overlooking the heinousness of Michael Jackson.
That's true. That's true.
People will defend him to this day, despite the fact that it is public and recorded knowledge that they took a truckload of child pornography out of his house.
Did they really?
Yeah. When the FBI served the search warrants on his house after his death for the investigation into the doctor, they took a ton of kiddie porn out of there.
Wow.
And no one talks about it.
But he was a genius and he was amazing.
He could dance.
Yeah. And he's dead, so we need to respect it.
Right. No, I always pull that card out when people start talking about that sort of thing. I will never listen to a Michael Jackson song ever again. I mean, he was a child predator. He was a predator.
I'm kind of the same way with Chris Brown. Not that I really listen to Chris Brown music, but
no, I agree with you on that. Chris Brown is a piece of shit.
Oh, so. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he sure can dance.
He can dance, man. Yeah, good.
But it's such a weird thing. This Kevin Spacey video, like, I was reading comments on it. One of my favorite comments was, I can't wait until they bring in Christopher Plummer to replace him in this video. I thought that was really good.
That's clever. I like that.
And then another, like, there was other ones that were like, kind of, like they were saying, like, I honestly thought that he was gonna like kill himself in this video because it's so fucking bizarre.
That would seem like that's where it would be going.
Yeah. And the general consensus was this bizarre ass 3 to 4 minute clip is still better than the entirety of season 6 of House of Cards, which I actually agree with.
That's funny.
But it's weird because like at the end of it, like he's speaking as Francis Underwood,
right?
And which also, that alone is like the most tone deaf thing because
I'm surprised Netflix didn't like.
That's what I was.
Have
wondering.
they made a statement about it?
I don't think so. Not that I've seen.
They're probably still trying to wrap their heads around
it. I know. Like, it's so weird because he's like, in like, the most cringy and creepy thing about it is like, he says like, I know what you want, like a few times, referring to like, oh, you want to be entertained by me or whatever. It's like, don't say that.
Yeah.
Like, don't use those words.
Man, it's so sad. This is taking a tragic turn for Kevin Spacey, whom I used to have nothing but the utmost respect for as an actor, and now it's just fucking great.
Yeah. On another side of it, because the video is so cryptic that no one can make heads or tails of it. But one of the interesting things that I kind of think would be really, like, it wouldn't redeem him in any stretch, but it would be really interesting to see. Like, you can kind of read into some of what he said as being a veiled threat, saying that, like, well, if I'm going to go down for the things that I've done, I'm not going to go down for the things I haven't done, and the truth will come out. Kind of like some people are reading that to think, like, he's going to, like, name names, he's going to, like, go out, like, he's going to...
And if he does, again, like you said, it's not redeemable in any fashion, right. But, hey, if he has... knowledge of other fucking predators, then okay, I'll listen.
Yeah, but also maybe don't release a video if you're gonna do that. Like just
say
have a few depositions and then go from there.
It's just such a weird turn.
Yeah, so weird. I was toying with the idea of playing like a clip from the video in this episode. If I do, I'll throw it here, but.
Anyway, all this presumption made for such an unsatisfying ending, and to think it could have been such a memorable send-off. I mean, if you and I have learned nothing else these past years, it's that in life and art, nothing should be off the table. We weren't afraid, not of what we said, and not of what we did, and we're still not afraid. Because I can promise you this. If I didn't pay the price for the things we both know I did do, I'm certainly not going to pay the price for the things I didn't do. Oh, of course, they're going to say I'm being disrespectful, not playing by the rules, like I ever played by anyone's rules before. I never did, and you loved it. Anyhow.
Yeah, it's
I don't see. I read the transcript. I don't know if I want to watch it.
Really,
it's sad.
It is. It really is. And like, also people were commenting on like he looks like he's put on a little bit of weight, and like also it
would be the internet of all the things you could comment. It was like,
right,
Kevin Spacey chubbed up. Okay, guys.
Yeah, but also it's just bizarre because like we've only seen him do Francis Underwood under like production value of Netflix.
Right.
So like to see him like he's doing it like in his kitchen, and like
is he wearing an apron too?
He's wearing like a Christmas sweater. He might be wearing an apron, but I don't remember. But he is kind of moving around like doing like actory like prop handling and stuff, and like he's like cutting a piece of bread or something.
Right, yeah.
He puts the knife down, it clangs really loudly in it because they don't have the production value of Netflix. And then also like the worst thing is that, like, not worst thing, but like the weirdest thing is that it ends with this very dramatic, like iMovie, royalty-free sound effect. That's like, it's basically like a dun dun dun.
Jesus Christ.
And it's so weird.
I might have to watch it now.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Conclusions can be so deceiving. Miss me?
So yeah, so that happened.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Here's a clip to make you just not want to feel happy about anything.
Typical of the holidays.
Yep. So yeah, and then is there anything else?
I will throw out this little bit of Star Wars news that dropped recently. John Boyega has stated that Episode 9 takes place 1 year after the end of Episode 8.
Not a fan.
I'm shocked. I was expecting a far bigger time jump.
Same here.
I'm not going to say I'm not a fan because I don't know how it's played out. I'll reserve my opinions until I've seen the film. So,
well, I'm going to go ahead and use this information to just create my own idea of what the movie will be.
That's a good idea.
So that when it releases, I'm just going to trash it entirely. But yeah, I'm surprised though, to be honest.
Yeah, I was expecting like a decade.
Same here.
So,
if only because of the way that The Last Jedi ended, not only because of that, but also I had the distinct impression like, okay, they're going to have a time jump. And then I felt like that was, organic to the story. And then also it would have opened up the universe to have a gap for Disney to fill in with a bunch of crap that fans would eat up because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, well, I will do that.
Yep. Well, that's fair. I had a dream last night where I ran into the director of the Dark Tower who was going into a meeting with like Sony, and I was trying to get like an interview with him and trying to get him to spill the beans about a Dark Tower TV show. So I have I've got nothing. Like, go ahead and have your Star Wars. I don't care.
Well, it's weird that, the other films, have pretty lofty time. The original trilogy, each one takes place like 3 years.
Like 3 years, yeah.
And, with, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, it's more like,
it's like
10 years
or something, yeah.
And in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, it's like 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
and then Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, like 30 years. It's crazy.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. That's my contribution.
But, but with the new trilogy, you have, one leading right into the other.
Yeah.
With Force Awakens into The Last Jedi, and now it's only a year between And it just, a giant time jump to me felt natural to the ending of The Last Jedi. So
yeah, but then also, and like we talked about this in the year in review episode with Mike, they have as much idea of what the fuck they're doing as we do with what they're doing.
Sure.
They're not mapping it out past each installment, which is a huge point of contention for me, even as a non-fan of the series. So it is what it is.
I get that. So
they'll do their thing.
It's just, to me, it's a benign piece of news. It neither excites me nor does it anger me. So it's like, okay, now just, with something like that, I'll eat up any piece of information they give me about it. So
yeah. And then form your own opinion, and then
before anything else, even seen it, I'll tell you it's a terrible movie.
Exactly. Yeah. Personally, I think they need to get rid of all the women and the minorities in the movies.
You know what? I agree. Make Star Wars white again.
Yes.
Let's just do this.
Right.
God damn it! This fucking liberal agenda.
Yes.
In the Star Wars universe.
Not my Star Wars. Oh God, we're joking.
Yes, this is all joke. This is jokes.
So the Boba Fett movie's done.
Oh yeah. So for the listeners, I received from my wife's cousin's husband a replica 3D printed Boba Fett gun, and Matt was extremely happy to hear about it since he loves Boba Fett as a character. And the depth of which he brings to the series.
Yes. I believe you snapped it to me.
Did I snap it? Yeah.
I think so. Nerdstory 330.
Yeah.
And it had the caption something like, I know you love this because it's Boba Fett's or whatever. And like literally, like I wasn't joking. I was like, literally, I would not have known if it was.
Oh, I know you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I think it's an awfully neat gift. It's a neat.
That is a very good, a good idea for a gift. So. Yeah. And I think I also said that like I didn't notice it from the 3 scenes it's in the original trilogy.
Something dickish.
Yeah.
As Matt is off to do.
Yep. Sorry to degrade your Christmas present.
It's okay.
Yeah. But I thought there was one more thing I was going to bring up, but I can't remember. Hang on one second. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, so we are a week away from the end of 2018. Have you started?
Haven't thought about it, to be honest. Well, December's one of those, you with lists.
I know. I've pretty much got it locked down.
There's still movies to be seen for me. And with December, it's usually a pretty heavy, movie month anyway, especially when it comes to so there's still movies to be seen. I hope to see Bumblebee in 2018. So, but other than that, I probably won't get the mule scene. In 2018. I had to make a choice between the mule and Mary Queen of Scots, and I just really felt like Mary Queen of Scots was going to be more up my alley.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's interesting. You have no intention or interest in seeing The Favorite.
I've sent this comment
on the podcast.
I don't think we said it on the podcast. I've sent you a couple of texts about it, and basically, I feel like it should be called Catty Women. It just, and that's what it looks like to me. It does nothing for me.
Yeah.
And Matt has told me that it has some deeper, plot points, which it may well have. It's nothing about it looks entertaining to me. Right. Have this half mad queen acting like a half mad queen,
right?
And 2 women fighting for the favor of said queen. It's whatever. And it's sad too, because I really love Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy,
Emma Stone.
Yeah. So, but just because I love these actresses doesn't mean I'm going to love the movies they're in. So
that's fair. Yeah, and like I'm not going to try to push you to see it or anything because I thought that it was good, but I mean it's going to be nowhere near my top 10 or honorable mentions.
And my wife went to go see it today, and her text to me was, "Well, ... that was not good."
Oh yeah.
So I was like, well, and that's just it's fair enough.
Sure. But yeah, so that's interesting. Do you think you'll have a top 10 lockdown by the time? Because me, Tiny, and Mike are going to record our year in review, and I want to have like.
Well, tell me the date that you're going to have it, and I will get it done by then.
I think that we're going to probably take the first week of January off.
Okay.
And then the second week, I need to confirm with Mike because I need to make sure because he's busy. I need to make sure.
Fatherhood.
I know fatherhood. But the plan is that we talked about it a while ago that the first week of January we would give ourselves a grace period essentially to catch up on any 2018 movies. That way we can kind of not be
still consider them. Yeah. That's fair. I'll have a list by then.
Nice. Yeah, I've pretty much already locked down my list. I still need to see Vice and Bumblebee and Holmes and Watson. That's not going to make the list, but
you know what? I love Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, and I wasn't ever expecting Holmes and Watson to be anything spectacular, but I was so hoping at least for it to be funny, because none of his movies, no one ever says, "Oh, those are masterpieces." They are what they are, and I typically enjoy them. But like, it's like getting epically trashed. Like it's got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like 0%.
Yeah, like okay, so. The new week on A-List starts Friday.
Right.
And so that gives like 4 days to see 3 movies because I want to get like theater viewings in by the end of the year because I'm anal like that. But yeah, it's like I'm probably going to see Vice, probably with Kirsten. And then I got a ticket for Holmes and Watson.
Did you?
Yes.
That surprises me.
Yes. Because...
Are you looking for a list for worst film?
Well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
but I mean, I have plenty that'll make my worst list. But also, like, there are a couple of reasons. One is at this point, I just kind of want to cleanse the palate a little bit.
I don't blame you. There's a lot of heavy stuff in this time of year, but I think Vice will do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping so, but also that does deal with some heavy things.
It does,
too.
but there's a lot of comedic. I mean, it's like The Big Short. Big Short is a very deep issue that is being portrayed, but in a comedic way.
Sure. But and then the other reason is that I've been listening to a lot of Earwolf podcasts, and one of them is Threedom, which is a really great podcast. It has Paul F. Tompkins, Scott Aukerman, and Lauren Lapkus, who is hilarious, and she's in Holmes and Watson. So I was like, I'll go ahead and use an A-list to support.
Well, fair enough.
Someone that I like their comedic sensibilities. But yeah. So but I'm pretty sure that I have my top 10 lockdown because like Google Play had like a 99-cent rental on pretty much any movie in it. And so I'm like looking through like, oh, this is perfect because I can rent a movie and like in case there's one I missed. And I'm looking through and it's like, I've seen all of these movies. Yeah. Like I think like
a total waste of time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Google Play.
Exactly. So like I was thinking like, oh, I could rent spoiler for my top 10, but I could rent Won't You Be My Neighbor and see it again to see like where I should place it on my top 10 because I have it in a very specific spot. But yeah, I don't know. But I will say, and this will be the final thing, and then we'll go on to our actual review. I had an interesting theater experience, which I told you about, and so I'll recount it for the listeners. I saw Mary Queen of Scots, sort of. So
20 minutes of it.
Yeah. So let me paint a picture here.
So Matt got to the cunnilingus scene and I was like, I'm good.
That's a little reductive. But, so basically, this was Christmas Eve. I had just been subjected to a weird 3-minute video of Kevin Spacey. But so this was like, I had seen Welcome to Marwen on Saturday and then recorded with Kirsten. And then Sunday morning, I saw Aquaman with Tiny. And then, I think Friday I saw a movie also. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So Friday the 21st, I saw The Favorite after work, immediately after work. And then Saturday afternoon, I saw Welcome to Marwen, recorded with Kirsten. Sunday morning on the 23rd, I saw Aquaman. And then, at my job, I worked a half day on Christmas Eve, and directly after work, I went to the theater to see Mary Queen of Scots. And as I've been doing, I've been taking a change of clothes and everything to be all fresh. I was running late that morning, so I didn't pack like a change of clothes, and I figured, okay, well, I'm only working a half day, so it's like, in the grand scheme of things, I'll be like sitting in my work clothes the same amount of time. I'm just going to be divided between work and the movie theater.
It's good rationale.
Yeah. But I was kind of burnt out and exhausted because I knew I was working a half day, so I didn't really do my sleep scheduling that well the night before. So when I get to the theater, I'm like I have like 30 minutes to kill. I get some food, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, do I really want to see Mary Queen of Scots right now? Like, do I really want to do this? And I'm like, I'm right here. It starts in like 20 minutes. Sure. I guess so. So I go into the theater. It's me. I'm the youngest person there. And I sit down in the seat, do the full recline and everything. I didn't even get like a drink like I usually do. So I'm sitting there, and I notice in the pre-roll, the sound pops out like every 5 minutes. So I'm like, oh, well, that's annoying. Hopefully that doesn't happen in the movie. So as the movie starts, I am struggling so hard to stay awake. Like, I am all but slapping my face, and like, I'm doing this weird, like this, a level of like, not exhaustion, but just of general fatigue that I haven't experienced since I like worked nights with Tiny, where I'm like sitting there and I'm trying to concentrate on something, and then I don't fall asleep, but my mind starts going,
just drifts,
like, drifting off. Yeah. And it's like my mind starts to try to dream, and like the whispers of that dream like infiltrate like my reading of the movie. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And about 10 minutes in, the sound pops out again for like just a brief second. I'm like, oh God, okay, just focus, I can do this. So 5 minutes pass, another 5 minutes pass. So 10 minutes. That's
that's how that works. Yeah. Addition.
Sound pops out again, and I'm like, oh God, this is, if it does it again, I'm just going to go tell the manager and see if maybe I can get like a free pass or something. Or see if I can get it stricken from my A list so I can have cause that was my third ticket.
Right. Yeah.
So, it happens again right around the cunnilingus scene. Cunnilingus.
You're quite the cunning linguist.
I'm not going to make a joke. I was going to make such a self-deprecating joke, but I'm not going to do that. Anyway, so I get to that scene, and like it pops out, and I'm like, I'm not even tracking this movie right now. And like, I have prided myself. Prided. Like, kind of a sneak preview of the year in review episode, I have seen a ton of 2018 releases this year. Like, this has been by far my best year on record, especially for year of release movies. And every single one of the 2018 movies that I have seen and logged on Letterboxd, even if it's a short one or a long one, I have written a review on Letterboxd. And I have seen a lot.
Yes, you have.
So, yeah. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I don't know if I'll even be able to write a review of this, because I'm so just beat and so tired and so worn out. Like, I can't even track the narrative. And then old dude goes down on Lady Bird, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. So I leave the theater, and like, my thought is, okay, all of these old people in this movie either think I'm a prude who is offended by the female orgasm, or I am a perv who got what he came for and is leaving. So
should have just stood up and said, done, and walked right out.
So I leave the theater, and then I go up to the staff, and like, And like I was like, hey, can I like speak to a manager because the sound is popping out in there, and I just want to just report it and see if maybe I can get like a pass or something to come back another time. And like the staff was super helpful. Like that's of the AMC's, that one, Southern Plaza on the south side, is my favorite. And the manager comes up and he's like, "Did you finish the movie?" I was like, "No, it's actually going on now. I saw about 25 minutes of it." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'll check that." And then I was like, "Is there any way that it can like be cleared off my A-list since I didn't technically see the movie?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't think so, since it already started. You can't do it like in the app, and we don't really control any of that."
Yeah, I would be surprised if they were able to. It doesn't.
Yeah. And like part of me was like, I kind of wanted to push him a little bit and be like, "Well, can I get like a free pass since I didn't do that?" But then also it's like, I have used.
I was going to say they've lost a lot of money on you.
Well, they have, but they haven't lost that much because I do buy concessions pretty much every time.
Okay, that's fair.
But yes, I am what one would call a power user of A-list. Like,
do they still check your ID?
They do. Yep.
Me too. But and I feel like they all know me.
Yeah, yeah.
They all know me there.
That's the thing. I already have it ready, so I'm like,
I do too. I do too. But you know, I'm not trying to be that. I was like, well, you have to check my ID.
Right.
It's just I think it's funny because they all know who I am. I'm there every single week, multiple times a week, and they all say hi and you know, back again, or they give me the well, you know where you're going. But they always still.
They never do that to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's weird. I don't know. So
maybe they hate you.
Probably.
So here comes that guy that just watches the sex scenes and leaves.
Right. Here's a guy who's trying to get a free pass from an A-list screening. Dick. But yeah, so anyway, so I ended up leaving. I did not see Mary Queen of Scots, and by your account, it was a red box.
Yeah, I mean, it's I enjoyed it, but it was not going to make your top 10 list.
Oh, okay.
I will say this, phenomenal performances.
That's the one reason why I was kind of excited to see it, because I'm not interested in the period of it, the period drama.
I don't know. I think I didn't know a whole lot about, still don't, because, you know, I've just seen a movie about it. That's it. But I didn't know a whole lot about that, situation, but it's a good, like it's informative, and you know, like the performances are fantastic. I didn't know Guy Pearce was in it. Oh
yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yeah.
See, again, I'm like, I don't even remember seeing him, and I know that he was in it because that just rang a bell. And like I looked, and there was some pretty good review, like blurb from, I think it was Matt Singer from Screen Crush. He said, hang on. And I accidentally turned on my PlayStation.
You did. I was worrying about that. I was like, you could just pop in some Red Dead while we're playing.
Good boy. Okay, he said, Matt Singer on Letterboxd of ScreenCrush.com, he rated it 2.5 stars, and he said, Mary Queen of Scots is not terrible, but releasing this movie while The Favorite is still in theaters is a bit like trying to put out a new Airport sequel 2 weeks after Airplane. So, I mean, that was interesting.
I kind of get what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, granted, I haven't, The Favorite does look like it's the better film, but it's also a vastly different thing.
If you say so. I would venture to say that Mary Queen of Scots would have been a better film, but I feel like it's more history to me because, I don't know, it seemed like more of a historical drama.
Right.
And, yeah. But then again, I'm judging movies that I haven't seen, so
sure,
who knows?
Sure. Never judge a movie by its premise.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sex Not Plane, great movie.
Right. God. Okay, yeah, so have we postponed the Aquaman?
Yeah, let's go.
Long enough?
Yeah, I do have to go to bed at some point today. So.
Yes, as do I, because I have to work tomorrow. So Aquaman. Let's go into our review of Aquaman. This is feels like 37th DC Extended Universe movie.
This would be the 6th.
I think 6th, yeah.
6th.
Just brief recap. Where do you stand on all the movies?
Well, you know, I'm still a champion for the DCEU. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince everyone that every single one of the movies are fantastic. Mm-hmm. I will go to my grave saying that Batman v Superman is one of the most underrated superhero movies for me. I still love it. Mm-hmm. I don't every time I see it, I like it even more. So, and we've had this conversation ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go further into it.
And I was about to say, like, I would like to borrow the Blu-ray, but you didn't bring Interstellar this time.
I did not bring Interstellar.
Damn it. And again, I meant to remind you.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that right when I was walking up. I was like, God damn it.
Hopefully it doesn't come up.
But I'm a huge fan of Man of Steel. I think that's a great movie. After that, I think Wonder Woman is overrated, but I still think it's good. I think people decided that it was better than it was because it was the first DCEU movie to be more recognizably good.
Sure.
And then you have Suicide Squad, which I thought was just the most forgettable superhero film ever.
Yep.
So,
and then Justice League.
So I've seen it once. I bought the 4K Blu-ray sometime around Black Friday because it was $10. I was like, well, fuck it, why not? I remember enjoying it, but it had a lot of issues, and I wish I could have seen Zack Snyder's vision of Justice League. Because his take was, from my understanding, could be darker, which is something I appreciate about the DCEU.
Right.
I like the darker tone, and they were going to bring the black suited Superman into the mix, which I was looking forward to. And then Joss Whedon came in and took over after Zack Snyder unfortunately suffered some family drama. And I think Joss Whedon came and made it more his tone. Yeah. I'm not saying that was a bad thing. I just think it was to the detriment, and for me, to the movie. I still enjoyed the movie. The villain in it was forgettable and a CGI kind of a mess, but there were some things I remember enjoying. I need to revisit it. I own it, and I'll probably revisit it pretty soon. I
almost rewatched Justice League before Aquaman, and like the joke I made to Tiny was like, I started to rewatch Justice League before this, but I realized I was rewatching Justice League. But that's not entirely. I just didn't really have time, or I was really tired and everything. My rundown of the DCEU, I'll be brief. Man of Steel, didn't like. Even on repeat viewings, I feel like it's just I still have a bug up my ass about the nonlinear storytelling. I think that doesn't really work as a narrative structure, and they try to make Superman, who granted is a character I'm not too familiar with, but like I have the idea of Superman, of what Superman should be, and he tried to make it dark and brooding and real quick cut in. I appreciate that, because to me, Superman's the most overrated comic book character in history of comic books. I think he is not deep. I think he is just too invulnerable, and there's nothing to him that has ever interested me. And I thought that Zack Snyder's Man of Steel actually made him a more relatable character. Interesting. See, I agree to disagree. Yeah, that's fine. Also, I feel like if Peter's listening, your brother, he's probably his head is exploding. Yeah, that's his main man. So. Yeah. But let's see. Man of Steel didn't really like. Batman v Superman. I should probably revisit it, but it was just, I remember. And we reviewed it and everything, but I remember feeling like a little bit like I'm kind of having fun with this, but also I can't take it seriously. And like the plot machinations and the motivations of like Lex Luthor and everything, like just did not make any sense whatsoever to me. And the farther I got away from it, the more confused I was by pretty much what I had just seen. And then I think after that was Suicide Squad, which was terrible, like absolute garbage in my opinion. Best trailer of the year. You think so? It was a great trailer. I don't even remember. I remember thinking it was a Bohemian Rhapsody. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Huh. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But that, and then Wonder Woman I thought was very good. I need to revisit that too. I feel like the opinion of the masses kind of were a little inflated, but I was right along with them. I enjoyed it. I don't take anything away from the film. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but to me, it's like Black Panther. Yeah. I think Black Panther is a very good movie, but is soon to be Best Picture. Oh God, Black Panther. But I think that it has gotten overrated because it is one of the first
prominent superhero films to feature a black superhero.
Cat.
Oh, yeah. Besides the oft-forgotten Meteor Man back in the 90s.
Meteor Man.
Oh, it's a terrible movie about this inner city teacher that gets hit by a meteor and becomes Meteor Man. It's terrible. Don't look it up. Don't watch it.
And now one of our Patreon subscribers is going to pay us to review it. Thank you for that, Fekkes.
Well, Wonder Woman and Black Panther, I thoroughly enjoy. I think they get overrated due to kind of, being the first of something.
Yeah. And also just the internet's opinion inflates anything, really.
It does.
So Wonder Woman and then Justice League. That sums up Justice League.
Well, I was going to say, was that intentional?
That was not intentional. But no, Justice League, like, I need to revisit it. Like, I still think, like, weirdly enough, Cyborg, well, honestly, it's weird, because, like, Cyborg I was into, The Flash I was into, Aquaman I was into, Bruce Wayne even kind of I was into, but, like, the movie as a whole didn't really work for me that much. Like, it was fun. It was a fun movie. Yeah. And I think I think what it comes down to is I just clash with the Zack Snyder vision of, like, a dark DC universe, which I can respect what he and what DC were trying to do because they wanted to be different from Marvel.
DC is inherently darker than Marvel.
That's very true. Very true. But I just felt like they didn't get off on the right foot. And so me having fun with, like, Justice League, and spoiler for our review, but also having some fun with Aquaman just felt like it was refreshing. And it was like, if they can't do the high drama darkness well, at least they can be entertaining. And Justice League delivered that for me. However, yes, the villain was horrendous.
Yeah.
And the CGI, like, I can forgive a horrendous villain because, like, if I just point out, like, oh, this villain was terrible, and then, oh, hey, here's, Marvel MCU movie number 15. The villain isn't that great, but oh my god, it's Marvel. Like,
well, you don't go see typically the superhero films. You go see for the heroes.
That's true.
Sometimes or oftentimes the villain's an afterthought, but you go for the heroes anyway.
Yeah.
Typically. Like, there's the few exceptions with, like, Joker.
Right.
We get it. You thought it was boring.
I
Jesus.
know. So going into Aquaman, I was open-minded. I do believe I was open-minded to, okay, the DCEU, Warner Brothers, like, they've all but, like, I don't know what their plan is now. Like, there have been...
I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
You keep on hearing reports that Ben Affleck's out as Batman and that
Henry
Cavill is out as Superman, but Jason Momoa came out and said Henry Cavill is still in as Superman. So we don't know.
Right. And that's that confusion and the kind of idea that they're retooling it or they're just focusing on the solo movies that have no connection, which I don't know, Joker could be okay.
Wonder Woman wrapped today. Or this week, or
that's right. Yeah, I'm actually very excited for that. I was bummed that it got pushed back, but if they need to push it back to make it better, that's fine.
I think they're pushing it back to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, all that to say, going into Aquaman, I was super excited to to go to an 11:30 a.m. showing and use my Stubbs reward for $5, so I only had to pay 99 cents for the ticket.
There you go.
Because I had already used up my A-list tickets for the week. So I was cautiously excited. What was your energy going into it? How did the marketing affect
the marketing worked out well for me. I initially, the first time I saw their big trailer, I was kind of put off at first because I thought it looked a little cartoony. Mm-hmm. But then you got to think, well, this is Aquaman. You're in the middle of the sea. There's going to be a bunch of sea monsters and riding of sea animals. So I have to be a little bit lenient on that. And so as the marketing amped up, I got more excited for it. And then the reviews started dropping, and then I got more excited for it. And, Jason Momoa was great as Aquaman in Justice League, so that had my interest anyway. So walking into the theater, I was pretty excited.
Same here. And it's funny because, like, the first couple of trailers, I was mildly excited about it. Like, I was cautiously excited about it. And I was more excited for the fact that James Wan was directing it.
I was intrigued by that because James Wan is he's a horror director.
Yeah, he's done Saw. He did a couple of the
he did
Fast and
the
Furious movies, I think.
He did the Conjuring,
right?
And did he do the sequel to The Conjuring?
I think so. Yes,
but he's got a pretty heavy horror background. So
yeah, and like I was intrigued by him, and I was excited by his directing it. And the trailers were okay, but the one thing that like really kind of got me kind of excited for it was this like 5-minute like extended scene.
I saw that, and yes, that did a lot for me as well. That
showcased the Italy sequence.
Yes,
which when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is going to be something pretty unique to the DCEU, and I was on board with it. Amber Heard's wig notwithstanding.
Whatever, I like her hair.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Anyway, so Aquaman, what did you think?
So I had the most fun in this movie that I've had in a long time in a movie.
Nice.
It was so much fun to watch. I saw it on the IMAX, which I rarely get much more out of IMAX anymore, but man, it really did a great job for me. Not 3D, because I'm so against 3D, but the IMAX experience was fantastic for this film.
Nice.
Like the set pieces were just all that much bigger and grander on the IMAX screen.
Very nice.
So I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the perfect movie, because I had some issues with it, Amber Heard being one of them, but man, I had a smile on my face the majority of the movie, and it was just fun from start to finish.
Nice. And of course we'll do non-spoiler and spoiler review, but my brief thoughts on it, my initial thoughts on it is Jason Momoa is a freaking movie star.
Oh, he's fantastic.
He just kind of blew me away.
He's he takes your eyes every single moment he's on screen. Like and that's what he's supposed to do. You know, he's the star of the film, but man, it's just he's just bigger than life. Yeah,
and his energy and like the comic relief of him is just like, it's so fun, and the energy is just so,
and you can tell he's having a blast doing it too.
Absolutely.
And that's when you get that feeling, it really draws you into films like that all the much more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like I said this, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about the marketing and everything, but like that first trailer where he comes into the submarine and then he turns around and he's like, permission to come aboard.
And you're like, that's so stupid.
That's so dumb. But that's great. Yeah. That's a Matt joke, and I am so there for it. And like the movie had that, like that was the type of humor he employed throughout the movie. And I'm like, this is great. And like just seeing him like just scream out talking about how badass something is, or how something's awesome. It's like the energy is just so like palpable, and
like he's one of the most likable superheroes since Iron Man.
Oh, 100%
agree. So he was so much fun. He's the perfect guy for it.
Yeah.
This is I can't sit here and tell you that I'm an expert on Aquaman, because I don't read Aquaman. I'm a comic book guy, but as far as the DC is concerned, I typically just read Batman books. So I'm not an expert on the character or the background, but man, he's the perfect Aquaman.
He really is. And like he's perfect for the Aquaman that the movies are making.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of goofy, but he's like kind of cool goofy.
Right.
He's
you want to be
electric.
His best friend.
You really do. He's fantastic. And the action and the choreography,
I was blown away.
Me too.
It was some of the most unique action fight sequences I've seen in a comic book movie in a long time.
Totally.
And you know, we're so saturated with comic book movies, and so you're gonna get some repetitive action sequences, but man, like the camera angles, the long shots that they employ, with
kind of like the virtual camera that's like kind of moving around the room.
You know, coming in, going back out.
Cool.
It was amazing, and I was impressed because I didn't expect that kind of directing from James Wan. Now I've never seen any of the Fast and Furious movies, so I've never seen his Fast and Furious movies. So I'm not accustomed to him as being an action director, but man, he destroyed it. It's like the underwater fight scenes were amazing.
Oh yeah. And like that was the thing that I was excited about, really, because I remember the underwater scenes in, I think it was Justice League, were intriguing to me. And like, what James Wan did with them here was he made them his own, and like he just employed like his particular brand of filming of action scenes. Like, it really worked well for that setting. And it's like, I mentioned the virtual camera that kind of moves around and everything. It's like, that's perfect for the underwater stuff. But like, when it was above water,
like the Italy chase sequence.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
That was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Zooming out to Jason's fight and then zooming back into Amber Heard's chase. It's like,
it reminded me of like, and this is not to be a derogatory comment or anything. This is a compliment. It reminded me, and maybe it's because of the kind of the plot element of that sequence, but it reminded me of like a really well done cutscene in like an Uncharted game.
No, yeah, that's good description, because those are very cinematic games to begin with.
Yeah,
and that's there's a lot of those types of action sequences in those games.
Totally. And like, just the way that the camera captures everything, and like, it's all like, a lot of it's like one long take. It's just really impressive and like really gripping. And like, the one sequence that kind of like hooked me into it was the beginning, where we see was it Nicole Kidman? It was Nicole Kidman. Right? Yeah, Nicole Kidman.
So
kicking ass in that room.
That was a great sequence.
So cool.
So funny thing about Nicole Kidman with this movie, for whatever reason, I drew a brain fart on her name for the entirety of the movie.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there going, it's like, how have I forgotten her name? It's like, I'm sitting there listening to every movie she's been in. Like, she was married to Tom Cruise.
Wow.
All this stuff in my head. And I'm naming 15 actresses she reminds me of, but I can't think of goddamn Nicole Kidman. And I'm sitting there stewing. It's like, it's a crowded theater, so I'm not going to get my phone out and check IMDb. But the end credits roll, and I just know it's coming. And I know it's going to piss me off. And sure as hell, there's Nicole Kidman. I was like, God damn it, Nicole Kidman. But for whatever reason, I just could not remember her name.
It's weird, because I've had that kind of brain fart like multiple times, like not recently, but like multiple times for Sam Rockwell for some reason. Like,
I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but like, yeah. But anyway, I was gonna make a joke. How could you forget the name of the lead actress in everyone's favorite Christmas movie, Eyes Wide Shut?
All right.
Anyway, yeah. So sorry.
No, but like the beginning fight sequences, that really sets the pace.
It did.
Like, that is a really well done fight scene.
And like, as the movie has a lot of silly aspects to it.
Sure.
And one point of it, like, I'll talk to a couple points. One point is the wardrobe of like the villain characters. Like, it's like these plastic, like not quite like
Black Manta's costume was a little ridiculous.
Well, see, that's the thing. That, and like the henchmen, like especially in that first fight with Nicole
I don't know. I was digging the henchmen's outfits.
I was too. Like, that's what I'm saying. I was too, because it reminded me, like, it, in a weird way, it reminded me of the style of the combat and everything in like old episodes of like Power Rangers.
I could see that.
Like, I got that vibe without having the cheesiness of it. And like, even like the Black Manta stuff, like, that was a silly costume, but it was built up, or it was introduced with this really weird, out of left field, like, montage sequence
of him putting
it together, which is like,
and that was a good sequence.
It was like, I was sitting there, I was like, why is this working for me? Like, this feels so weird, but it's so, like, it's just cool. Like, I'm digging the vibe of that sequence, and like, I was really into it.
Right. I actually enjoyed Black Manta's character and how he came into being so obsessed with destroying Aquaman. I was a fan of that. Like, first of all, like, when they have their first little battle and he's like, I've been waiting for this. I like the Aquaman's like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, we were bound to meet up. I was like, yeah, he's not wrong. You're a pirate. So, the events that led him to being obsessed with him, I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'll meet you halfway. Like, I liked the Black Manta stuff. I just feel like it drug down the plot a little bit. Like, it made the movie a little too over encumbered because we have all the Patrick Wilson stuff, all the Atlantis stuff.
It is a lot, but it also gives Aquaman the part where it kind of makes him realize that there's going to be consequences to his decisions. Yeah. And I very much appreciated that.
And I can definitely see that, and I respect the movie for that, but by the last act, I was just kind of not out of it, but I was just like, kind of just getting a little drowsy. I was Queen of Scotsing it.
It's a long movie.
It's
and
I
close
felt
2.5 hours. I didn't.
Really?
I did not. At all.
Interesting. So we'll have to talk about the Patrick Wilson stuff and spoilers.
I like Patrick Wilson.
Me too. But I feel like the movie didn't juggle the Black Manta stuff and the Patrick Wilson stuff enough. Like, I would have rather had either just Black Manta or just Patrick Wilson. And
I can appreciate that. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was a perfect movie.
Sure.
But I enjoyed Black Manta.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Sure. And like when he's on screen, I enjoyed him too, but it was also let's go into spoilers. Overall, like, broad terms, how did you feel about the movie?
Fantastic. Yeah. And I don't want to speak too soon about this, but I could see it breaching my top 10.
Interesting. Nice.
I had a lot of fun with it.
Okay. Sure. It won't make my top 10.
No, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah. But it does have me cautiously excited for the future of the DCEU. Like, the vibes I got from Aquaman, like the energy of it, matched with the trailers for Shazam, like, it feels like this is what I've been kind of waiting for with the DCEU. Just fun comic book movies that feel like they belong.
You want a Marvel
90s.
Movie?
Well, no, not necessarily. Like, I want, like, these. I didn't realize this really until I saw Aquaman, but like these are movies that feel like they belong in the 90s era of comic book movies, but they're in the modern era, and they're like polished enough to where it's like they're cheesy, they're a little off the rails, but they're fun.
Yeah, fair.
And like,
I think it's a great deviation for the DCEU, but I do not want them to get away from a darker tone.
Yeah, and like
Shazam, that's a good tone for Shazam. Given what I have seen of it, again, not well versed in Shazam lore,
right? But
that seems like the type of lightheartedness that would go equal with that. But
yeah, and if they go back to the kind of darkness and brooding stuff, like I would be all for that, because like I loved Christopher Nolan's Batman movies.
You know what you get with a lighthearted Batman? You get Adam West.
Or Bat Nipples.
Yes.
Yeah.
So don't do that to my Batman.
Yeah. Like, and I've said this before, like in one of our other reviews, but I would love if they just ditched the full-scale DCEU and just did like a Bat Family shared universe. Do like the Batgirl movie, do Nightwing, do Batman, and have that be the dark, brooding stuff, and like maybe do some like I've read a little bit of the comics, so like do like the Court of Owls, or do like the
I think Gotham's doing the Court of Owls.
Yeah, I think I heard that. Which I
watched like half of the first season and was disinterested pretty quick.
Yeah. I was kind of curious about it, but not enough.
I don't know how you have a Batman show without Batman, and it didn't work for me. So
yeah, about the same way you have a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh, and anyway, yeah, just they're sidetracked. But anyway, yeah, overall, it's not going to make my top 10, but I enjoyed Aquaman, even though I felt like it got bogged down a little bit.
That's fair.
But let's go into spoilers for Aquaman. We're going to play a quick clip from the trailer, and then we'll have to ask your permission to come aboard to spoilers.
Good job.
Thank you.
You should be proud of that one.
Yeah. Okay, so...
My father was a lighthouse keeper. My mother was a queen. But life has a way of bringing people together.
We could unite our worlds one day.
Check it out. Arthur is talking to the fish.
They made me what I am. Permission to come aboard?
Okay, so spoilers on for Aquaman. Where to begin? Should we start with Amber Heard? Because we didn't actually touch on her.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, she was serviceable, and she was believable in her action sequences, so I'll give her that. It's just, she's not much of an actress.
Yeah, you know, I've been a big fan of hers.
I've actually not seen her in much.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, she's been in a lot of not great stuff.
Yeah.
Like, she had like a very, very small role in the movie Friday Night Lights. And then she was also in like a very small role in Zombieland. And
who she is? Oh, she was the
neighbor.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she did great in that movie.
She did. And then she was also in that Nick Cage movie Drive Angry.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I can't remember the last time I saw a Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah. Well, I would recommend checking out Mandy. We reviewed it for Patreon.
I didn't listen to your guys'. Was that a
spoiler review?
Yeah, I did. That's why I didn't listen to it.
Yeah.
So, I was curious about Mandy though, so I might catch that.
Yeah,
I think the last one I saw that. Well, besides he was in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but like Kick-Ass.
Oh yeah! Wow.
And I loved him in that, but
yeah, and he was still Nick Cage in that.
He was.
But yeah, he's. I said this in the review of Mandy, but like he's really good in Mandy because the role is very introspective. Like he doesn't like. There's not a lot of dialogue. So it's a lot of him reacting to things and kind of brooding and like internalizing his pain. And so like, but when there is dialogue, that he does like the kind of like, oh, Nick Cage kind of thing. But like, it's pretty restrained.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Amber.
Anyway, back to Aquaman and Amber Heard.
Yeah.
So, I thought she did fine. Like, I thought that the hair was a little distracting, but you know,
I like that.
Yeah. Redheads. Got
I love them, yeah.
And then there's a goat. Was it a goat?
Yeah, it was a goat.
Yeah, a goat. But yeah, I thought she was fine. But
there's really not. Her action sequences are great. She was believable in that aspect. And, I guess I'm not expecting, Oscar caliber acting in a role like that. And she wasn't distractingly bad, but she was serviceable.
Yeah, I kind of felt like, part of me felt like she was maybe just a tad bit overpowered. Cause she, I don't know, maybe it was just this escape from the underwater, not cage match, but underwater gladiator battle that they had or whatever.
From my understanding, that's her powers. Okay. Like I did some wiki studies of the characters, and apparently that's what she does.
Interesting.
So,
yeah, but yeah. So, like I said in the non-spoiler, I was kind of felt like the movie was a little over-encumbered by the Black Manta stuff and the Patrick Wilson stuff. Patrick Wilson stuff, I feel like the half-brother, whatever his name was, I don't remember.
Orm?
Sure.
He was Ocean Master.
Yes, Ocean Master, which that was kind of an eye roll thing.
That's his name.
I know. It's like, it's canon, I get it, but it's like, okay. This was written a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
But, and I mean, if Bill Maher is to believe, comic books are trash. But,
shut up, Bill Maher. You were in a goddamn comic book movie, you fucking jackass.
What comic book?
Iron Man 3.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, but, well, in the episode when we talked about that, when Tiny's like, he's such a dick, like, the way he says it reminded me so much of the way Chris Pratt says, in, Parks and Rec. There's an episode where he calls Jason Mantzoukas' character a dick, like, just random, like, he's like, he's such a dick. Anyway, it reminded me of that. But anyway.
It reminded me of the way President Obama called Kanye a jackass. He's like, he's a jackass.
I don't remember that.
It was after Kanye had taken the microphone out of, and so it wasn't an official interview. They were just filming before the president, and someone asked him about it, and he's like, "She seems like a perfectly nice girl. He's a jackass."
That's awesome.
And when Tiny called him, that's what it reminded me of.
Nice.
But, yeah.
I'll pull that clip of Tiny saying that with that clip of Obama saying that and the clip of Chris Pratt saying it, and I'll let the listeners do it.
Fair enough.
But anyway, so yeah, I just felt like the movie was cramming too much into it. Which
It did cram quite a bit into it. It's an origin story with two villains, which is pretty cumbersome.
Yeah, and I also feel like, and this isn't okay. When I say this isn't a shot across the bow at Aquaman and DC versus Marvel or anything, because I know that both these movies were in production around the same time. It's not. It's the same as like Batman v Superman and Civil War, but it just felt like the plot line with Patrick Wilson was just not beat for beat, but it was very similar to the plot line in Black Panther, and it was like it just felt like. You don't think so?
I mean, I guess because they're both related.
They're vying for the throne, and they have a fight for the throne.
But the motivations are completely.
And the hero has to like discover what makes him a king.
Okay, all right, yeah, all right.
But it's not like saying like, oh well, Black Panther already did this.
Right? No, I get what you're saying.
It's just like. We have, like you said, we are so, like, relentlessly inundated with comic book movies. Like, obviously,
we're in the 20s of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And
there's going to be overlaps on plot and everything, and that's fine. But it's like, it feels like I've consumed so much media in this genre. It's like, anytime something kind of reminds me of something, it just rubs me the wrong way. Or it doesn't rub me the wrong way. It makes me lose focus in the movie. Like,
I'm going to say this. I think Aquaman's a better movie.
Oh, interesting.
Than Black Panther. So.
I haven't rewatched Black Panther in a while. I will disagree with you respectively.
That's fine.
Like, I still love Black Panther, but I will say that Aquaman was
I think going
fun.
back, I've rewatched Black Panther a couple times. And there are some problematic parts of it for me. I still think it's a great movie. I still thoroughly enjoy it, but it holds up less for me on other viewings.
Interesting. See, and that's something that's kind of like, it's not so much that it doesn't hold up to repeat viewings for me. It's more like when I go to revisit movies to reevaluate them for the top 10 and the end of the year, I'm also kind of gauging it with like the desire to rewatch them. Okay, that's 2.5 hours of Black Panther that I could be using to rewatch something or watch something new. Do I really like? And I already know that objectively, in my opinion, that Infinity War is the better movie of all the MCU movies. We got 3 fucking MCU movies this year. Yeah. So it's just like, why would I spend 2.5 hours watching Black Panther when I can just rewatch Infinity War again?
The CGI in Black Panther is rough.
Yeah. I do remember that.
And it's worse on repeat viewings.
Is it?
Yeah. Especially the rhinos.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's rough.
Ugh.
Again, I still thoroughly enjoy the movie, but it's has its issues.
Okay. But Aquaman.
Yeah, back to Aquaman.
Yeah, so you didn't feel like a disconnect with the Black Panther-esque storyline?
No, because I guess I wasn't really making that connection anyway.
Yeah.
I think I was just having a lot of fun with the movie itself. So,
and Patrick Wilson did a really great job being like a menacing villain.
Right. I've always been a fan of Patrick Wilson. I feel like Patrick Wilson's one of those actors that people don't really know who he is, but they see him in a lot of things. But I think he does a great job in the Conjuring series. I had a lot of fun with him in the A-Team. He was the bad guy in the A-Team.
Oh, interesting. I never saw the A-Team.
I'm sure it's not a great movie, but I love the movie. So it's just one of those. So I've always been a fan of Patrick Wilson. He was great in Watchmen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I thought, he's a menacing villain in this, and he does a really good job of being imposing and, that dickish stepbrother.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Or I guess half brother.
Right. And Willem Dafoe kind of felt superfluous to me.
I love Willem Dafoe. Yeah. I'm an unabashed fan of him, and he was Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
And
okay. Did they for the present day stuff? Did they age him down at all, or does he just look that good?
I don't know. Because Willem Dafoe's not a young man.
No,
and he looked far younger in this than he did in like Boondock Saints.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know. Whatever.
And I feel like Nicole Kidman is kind of ageless anyway. So.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
She still looks beautiful, and of course she's a great actress.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And what do you think of the casting of Jango Fett?
I mean, it works, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good in his role. I had a lot of fun with the scenes between him and Jason Momoa. My understanding is, he was Jason Momoa's suggestion.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and he works.
Yeah.
He was fun. His scenes with Nicole Kidman are good, and the bar scene is so good. No, stop, because I love the bar scene.
I thought that it was just a little bit silly.
No,
but I enjoyed it.
I love it. Because I was about to be mad if it turned out to the way they were alluding to, and I was like, "Come on, no one's gonna be like, are you that superhero that kicks fucking ass and lifts submarines out of the water? Yeah, well, I'm gonna punch you." No, I love that scene.
Yeah,
so stop. It was great.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but I was like, it's just a little bit silly.
No,
but the
you're
movie
wrong.
itself
it's
is kind of silly anyway. But trying to think of other plot threads and everything.
So, just to go over Black Manta.
Yes.
So obviously you knew that Black Manta's dad is going to die.
Oh yeah, they telegraphed that, which is fine.
Right.
Also played by, I think his name's Michael Beach, who he was in the first couple of seasons of ER, playing Al Boulay.
Interesting. I thought for the short amount of time he was in the film, he did great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his.
He was also in Third Watch, but anyway, go ahead.
Never watched it. That whole sequence was fun to me. It was a good fight sequence in the submarine, and like I said, I appreciate that moment for Jason Momoa or for Aquaman to, hey, it's the flick of a wrist for me to go save this man's life. I'm not going to do it. And I like that turn. You just created your enemy, your own enemy through your own inaction.
Yes. I'll tell you what made me like that scene. Cause up until a certain point in that scene, I was like, okay, it's Batman Begins. It's like, oh, I don't need to save you, what was it?
I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
I don't have to save you. Like, okay, we've seen this in, a more prestigious film.
Sure.
But when he says, ask the sea for forgiveness, I'm like, okay, that's where it differentiates. And that's where it kind of, where I can let it slide. Cause that's a pretty cool, thing. The sea was not forgiving that day.
It was not.
Yeah.
Some bitch of a mistress.
Yep. What a
damn you, merciful bitch. Poseidon.
But I like that origin for Black Manta. And like you said, I like how that, creates this inner conflict for Aquaman. And you said that moment, I just want to say that moment. But anyway,
God damn it,
creates a villain that is, it's a more compelling villain than I feel Patrick Wilson was in the movie. And nothing against Patrick Wilson, but I just feel like Black Manta was interesting.
He was interesting, and I like that he was a tool of the Atlanteans.
Yeah, that was and it does fit together, but.
Because, that was the whole thing of them having to steal the sub to, get this war started. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, but then after the Italy scene.
Because at first I was like, what do they get out of a military sub? There's literally nothing you can do with a military sub.
Right.
And that was my thought. That was my only issue with that. I was like, what are you robbing a sub for?
Sure.
So it made more sense later on when we find out what's really going on with it.
Sure. And it connects to the Atlantis plot well enough. But after the Italy sequence, I was like, after that was over and done with, I'm like, oh, that was a really cool sequence and everything. And then about another half hour into the movie, when we're starting to get up into the climax of the movie, I'm like, oh, is Black Manta going to come back or something? Or is now we have to deal with all the Atlanta stuff? And I was more invested in the Black Manta stuff, and it just felt like it was a little discombobulated in my head.
That might just be because you connected more to Black Manta.
And I will fully admit that. I kind of want to see the movie again in IMAX just to get another look at it.
Yeah, IMAX is the way to go with that.
Yeah. But anything else we need to cover?
Nicole Kidman. So no one thought that she wasn't going to come back in the movie.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed what happened with her.
I did too, but I also this is such a dickhead thing. But I also liked it in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That's I will say this. That's fair.
But again, they were in production the same.
Right.
Like it's not an answer to that. An answer to that. But yeah.
I really enjoyed the trench monsters and that action sequence.
Do you know who did the voice of the?
Yes, and I it's hilarious. It's the most random freaking.
Let's talk about how ridiculous this is. That Julie Andrews makes a cameo appearance in a movie, and two of the movies that are at the Cineplex right now are Aquaman and Mary Poppins Returns. And she's not in Mary Poppins Returns.
She's a sea monster.
She's a sea monster. Like a racist sea monster.
You half-breed. Goddamn, Julie.
So weird. And also, that sequence was also kind of a part where I was kind of not checked out, but I was kind of not as engaged as the other parts. I think that was one of the main points, is that after the Black Manta thing, I was just kind of oh, he still needs to get the trident.
Yeah, and I see that.
Fight. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, the trench monsters, visually, they were pretty interesting.
I thought that it was kind of neat because you kind of had James Wan's horror aspect into it really quickly.
That sequence where Aquaman takes the flare and dives down into the water, it is one just the composition.
The visuals is amazing.
One of the most visually striking moments that I've seen in a movie this year.
Yeah.
Just really, really beautiful. It's frameable even.
I would like Mythbusters though to take on the can of flare, survive in water.
I thought about that, and in my head I was like, really? But maybe this is just me. It wasn't shown in the movie, but I was like, I'm sure Mira probably did something.
There you go. Mira had an air bubble around.
Yeah. So it's just I don't need to say it's Aquaman.
Right.
I'm not going to nitpick the physics of Aquaman. Especially when there's a 90s style montage of a villain making a villain suit and coming to the conclusion that he needs to make it bigger.
Right.
And makes it cartoonishly bigger. Which again, that sequence, I loved that montage. I was so into that.
It was good.
Yeah. And yeah, so anything else? Oh, what about the monster? Well, we already talked about those. Oh, the big fight scene at the end, or the big
war scene was fantastic, especially in IMAX.
I thought it was too, and that's one of the reasons why I want to rewatch it in IMAX. Tiny was a big fan of that too, which I probably should have reminded or asked him if he wanted to be on this episode. But in the moment at that point, I was already okay, I've been here for 2.5 hours.
That whatever fatigue I had was revitalized at that point. Yeah. It was, to me, that whole war sequence was great, and the last fight between Ocean Master and Aquaman was a lot of fun. I liked the setting for it, the pouring down rain on top of this, ship in the middle of the ocean. That was great. That was cool. And again, I'll have to see it again to, really appreciate it. But just at that moment, I was it was almost 2:00. I'd been up since 10:30, up since 10.
and the movie started at 11:30. And I'm like, okay, this is. I'm kind of ready to go home and eat lunch and watch like Netflix.
I will say this: the whole war scene I thought was funny because Aquaman's like, "I'm gonna be your king," but first I'm gonna fucking kill a lot of you guys,
right? Yeah. What did you think of the mid-credit scene? Because there was no end credits.
It was okay. I mean, I'm sure there's some Aquaman lore that Aquaman fans will get. I don't, but it sets up Black Manta to come back, which is cool.
Which I like.
Yeah, I enjoy that character. So,
and I like Randall Park a lot, and I hope that he has like a bigger role.
I'm sure he does. Judging from what you see, I'm sure that's a specific character from
has
Aquaman.
To be canon, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and also,
I like because I love that he's right. But these news people treat him like he's an idiot. And he's like, you fucking idiots. There's been like Aquaman. We know that there's an Atlantean. Why do you keep telling me that? It's like, we have metahumans.
Well, that's the thing. And I think that that's one of the problems that I had with it. The reason why I couldn't connect with the big war scene at the end is that throughout the movie, there's reference and they're implying that they're going to do battle with the surface world. And that never happens. Like, they don't, like, I thought the climax of the movie was going to be like, oh, them bringing it to the surface and saving that.
I didn't see
that's where
that.
I was leading.
I didn't see that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think I might get a better appreciation of it seeing it again, knowing that that's not going to happen.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't. I don't need to see that because I'd rather see a giant underwater war scene.
Yeah,
I've seen land battles.
Right.
It did what I wanted to show me something different.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated it.
Oh yeah. We've talked about the Bond movies. You've never seen Thunderball.
The only Bond movies I've seen are Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig.
Yeah. Thunderball is like the fourth one. It's a Sean Connery one. It's really cool. There is a fight, like the big climactic battle is underwater with scuba gear and like spear shooter things. And it's really
spear
cool.
Guns.
Spear guns,
Yeah.
yes. Spear guns.
Spear shooter things.
Shooter thing.
Do you also call regular guns bullet shooter things?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Your dad is a police officer.
I know. But yeah, it's spear guns and it's really like, I think that you'd get a kick out of that.
Fair enough.
But yeah.
One more thing, and I know it's silly. You knew it was going to happen, but I thoroughly enjoyed the scene where Nicole Kidman comes back to Jango Fett.
Oh yeah. It was sweet.
It was.
Like it was sweet. I'll give it that.
Django he held out, man.
Yep. Too bad he already cloned a bunch of and apparently his son has a really cool gun. I don't know. But
fuck off.
I think that was in our Patreon recording too, so
I think it was.
Support us on Patreon to get
that joke.
Yeah. Okay, is there anything else to talk about with this?
I will say this. I appreciate that it did not rely heavily on referencing the other DCEU movies.
Right. There's like only one.
There's an offhanded comment that Mira makes about Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
But other than that, it just, I didn't need Batman to have a cameo. I didn't need it. So I was glad that this is Aquaman. Mm-hmm. And if that means that, they're just going to continue on with Aquaman movies and the rest dies, I'm not going to be happy about it, but at least Aquaman will live on. You know
what's funny is that if you were to go back like 10 years and say like, oh yeah, Marvel's doing this whole thing with Iron Man and they're going to have a whole big universe. DC's going to do it too. And like down the road, they're going to have Aquaman but they're not going to need to rely on any cameos from other DC universe people. He's going to stand on his own. Like I would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
it's Aquaman.
It's Aquaman.
What the hell are you talking
like, what do I know about Aquaman?
Yeah.
It's going to start Julie Andrews. Wait, what?
Right. I haven't seen Mary Poppins Returns, but it would be amazing if Jason Momoa had a cameo in that.
It would be great.
Yeah. But Aquaman was pretty good.
Dolph Lundgren.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What the that was one of those things where I was watching. I was like, is that Is that Dolph Lundgren?
Like, I knew he was in the movie, I just didn't know where. And
I had no idea.
He was almost unrecognizable as Dolph Lundgren.
Like, having seen him in Creed 2, I thought, like, did they age him down? Did they age everyone down in this?
You know what? You got to think. He's strictly underwater scenes.
Yeah.
And, Volko is underwater scenes too. The amount of CGI they're going to have to do in all those scenes is enormous because, one,
that's a very
all hair effects have to be completely CGI.
Yep.
So I imagine there's some CGI effects to the faces as well.
That's a really good point. I think you're right. But yeah, he was in it.
I enjoyed it. Like, he's not, doesn't blow me away, but I like Dolph Lundgren.
Right.
And it's fun to see him in it. So whatever.
Same here. I think that should just about do it for Aquaman.
Yeah.
Looking ahead to the DCEU, how are you feeling about it?
I honestly, I don't know because I don't know what's coming forth.
Right.
Right now, we don't have any other movies in production except for Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't give two shits about Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman's not scheduled to drop until 2020.
Right.
Which is weird since it's wrapped in production already.
Right.
And they're, a year and a half from now is when they plan on release it. I don't think that's a good sign for the DCEU.
No. Then we also have Shazam.
I keep forgetting about Shazam.
Me too.
Shazam looks like a lot of fun.
It does. And the weird thing was, I don't know if it was in your theater too, but the trailer played for
Avengers.
Yeah. God, that was amazing to see on the big screen.
It was.
But also, no Shazam trailer. I'm like,
oh, I had a Shazam
did you?
trailer.
Okay. Cause I was sitting there, I was like, what? What's going on? Did they forget it?
Yeah. No, I had a Shazam and an Avengers trailer.
Oh, okay. So was the Avengers trailer in IMAX?
It was.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
God, I'm so excited for that movie. But anyway, off topic, I was thinking when Endgame comes out, we wouldn't be able to get the logistics down, I'm sure, but it would be awesome to get the entire Obsessive Viewer family on a single episode.
Oh, yeah.
Me, you, Tiny, Mike, Kirsten, even have Tony on and do a Avengers Assemble thing.
So. Obsessive Viewers Assemble!
Yes! But yeah, anyway, we're talking about DC. So, but yeah, how do you feel about Joker?
I think
Joaquin.
There's not a whole lot about that movie that I dislike. I like Todd Phillips taking on this movie. I love Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. I love the different style of the Joker. So I can't wait for it, even though I haven't seen any footage from it. I guess it's kind of footage,
screen tests and stuff. And
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
There's a lot going into this movie that works for me.
I think it has potential. But also, I mean, who knows what they're doing? Are they going to do that side by side with the DCEU, or is that?
Well, I don't think it's part of the DCEU.
No, I definitely know it's.
I think it's it's just a
he doesn't
standalone.
have damage tattooed on his forehead.
Fuck! I hate that Suicide Squad movie. The only good thing that the Suicide Squad movie produced was a good Halloween costume for women.
Sure.
That was it.
You mean Killer Croc?
Killer Croc.
Yeah. And I will say Margot Robbie did a good job in it.
She did, but it didn't save the film.
No, definitely not.
Will Smith did a good job in it too, but
Oh yeah.
I want a second Justice League because I want to see Slade Wilson.
Yeah.
So they cast a good guy for it, and I enjoy. No need to get into it. I really enjoy Jesse Eisenberg's take on Lex Luthor.
Sure.
I want to see more of that. I don't, as it stands right now, see that happening. I don't even know if they're still going forward with the solo Batman movie. I don't even know if that's a thing.
Well, that's the thing. That has everything. Everything that I've read about that, makes me excited for it. But also, it's Ben Affleck is not attached to it, or is it there's rumors that he's not going to be Batman, but it's Matt Reeves doing Batman. Matt Reeves did, I think, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which is incredible.
The whole Planet of the Apes trilogy is fantastic.
Absolutely. And he has stated that it's going to be a detective movie,
right.
like it's going to lean on Batman's detective skills, which is something that I feel has been sorely lacking in pretty much all
any
of the
Batman movie.
Batman
yes,
movies.
I'm excited for that prospect.
Yeah.
I still
But
stand
who
by
knows?
that Ben Affleck it might be my favorite Batman, and it concerns me that he's dropping out of
Sure.
it. And I think that's probably a smart career choice for him because he probably sees the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
But it makes me sad.
Yeah. Let me pitch you this. Christian Bale comes back as Batman, but in full Dick Cheney garb and everything.
Sold on that.
Nice. It's ridiculous.
And then shoot somebody in the face.
Yep. Yeah. So it'd be pretty much in line with
Right.
the DCEU Batman. Oh God. Anyway, so yeah, hopefully that happens. But like, just the Batman happens, the movie.
Who? I mean, at this point, who knows?
Yeah.
Hopefully,
I don't know if DC knows.
Hopefully, the success of Aquaman will galvanize the DCEU.
And let's talk about the success of Aquaman. Like, I didn't see the numbers or anything, but like, I texted you and said like, yeah, me and Tiny are seeing it Sunday. We got the last 2 seats next to each other.
And my theater was packed.
Yeah.
And so I'm extremely happy to see it doing so well. I mean, it killed in China, which
Yeah.
these days, the only reason that we still even have movie theaters is because of China.
Right.
Because they literally save box offices.
Yep.
And they save Transformers movies too. They're not perfect.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it killed in China. So I really love to see it being a commercial success.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, hopefully DC does well and everything gets good. I don't know. I don't know how to transition.
I just hope I hope it's enough to keep it going.
Same here.
We'll see.
Yep.
I feel like that I'm going to be a lone fighter for the DCEU my entire life. You know.
Yeah. Well.
And I always preface it by saying I recognize where people have issues with it. So.
Dark Tower. Although fuck that movie. But anyway, it was, as a brief aside, like it's funny because like I was going through my Voodoo like library and everything, and I have a digital copy of The Dark Tower.
Of course you do. Yeah, you bought that.
Yeah, and like I was scrolling through and I stopped it on The Dark Tower and I like looked at it and it was just like a surreal experience of like looking at it, seeing like the description. I think it was actually on Amazon Video that I was watching it, or looking at just the display. And like, I'm like seeing the words The Dark Tower as a movie title and then a description like Roland and the Man in Black are locked in an epic battle to save the universe and stuff. And I'm just like, this actually fucking happened.
Every time I'm in Best Buy and I always see it's always on sale. And like the 4K, the 4K was on sale for like $7.
I need that for my collection.
And I'm always tempted to send you a Snapchat. I'm sure I've done it before. Like
You have.
How could they have? I can't believe they have all these copies.
I have that coming to me, really. Like it's fine. But yeah, at least the Boba Fett movie's dead.
Screw you. I wanted that movie.
Oh God. Okay, so that's our review of Aquaman. Hopefully you guys liked it. Let us know what you thought of Aquaman. And yeah, this is a bonus episode, so we don't really need to do a potpourri. Do you want to do a potpourri?
The only potpourri I would have had was Mary Queen of Scots. We kind of went over it, so
yeah, cool. I'll round us out with just a lightning fast bit of potpourri. Have you seen this documentary on net? By the way, potpourri is the section of the podcast where we're talking about whatever we want as long as it smells good. So to wind us down, I'm going to speak about one movie that I've seen recently. I saw it last night. I've been doing this Netflix roulette where I just randomly pick a movie on my list and then play it and then watch it. I randomly selected The American Meme. Have you seen this
Nope.
documentary?
No,
or heard
nothing about it.
Okay, so it's a documentary about the dregs of society who are basically famous on social media. They're quote-unquote social media influencers, who basically day in, day out, they are just grinding away at social media, trying to get likes, posting funny, provocative stuff, and they are wildly successful because the world that we live in today is in love with entertainment that they can consume in micro chunks and yeah, I have a very strong bias against this social media entertainment celebrity kind of culture we're in because I am a lover of film and TV where people, create art as a craft.
Right.
And like the communal aspect of it, like I feel like the idea of people being famous for being on Instagram or posting stuff on social media is just a shortcut to bypass the art of creating film and television and other entertainment mediums, just to get a shortcut to the celebrity and the stardom. So I was really predisposed to dislike this documentary, and spoiler alert, I did not like the documentary. It follows 4 people, the Fat Jewish, who came under fire a few years ago, or a handful of years ago, for basically reposting other people's memes and work and taking credit as his own. He, at the time, he was in line to get a Comedy Central deal, and when that scandal kind of came out, they dropped him. But he's
Carlos Mencia all over again.
Pretty much. And he's like still like he's still at it. All these people have more money than I'll ever see in my life, which is fine, until I become the first billionaire podcaster.
It's gonna happen.
But it is. We have 7 Patreon
That's right.
subscribers. So anyway, they have him and this guy called Kirill, who goes by on Instagram, he goes by Slut Whisperer.
Sounds classy.
Yeah, these 2 guys, the Fat Jew and Slut Whisperer, are these 2 guys in their like late 30s, almost 40s. They're making a living just basically acting like they're 21-year-olds. Particularly Slut Whisperer, he gets paid thousands of dollars to go to clubs and basically pour champagne on drunk women and just, be life of the party and
just
stuff.
be a jackass.
Yeah, and it's like, and there's the first half of the documentary is basically showcasing like, oh, their life is so amazing. The other 2 that they follow is this girl, Brittany Ferlin, who is like 26, and she's now, in spoiler alert, she's engaged to Tommy Lee. Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah, and to her credit, she did characters on Vine, and like she was one of the top Viners and stuff. But they showcase, the first half is like showcasing like their lifestyle and everything, and how they're all super like rich and famous and everything in the realm of social media. And then the last half, like they try to kind of put in like this like thing about like Slut Whisperer is alone, and like he's lonely and everything, and like his mother's pestering him about having kids and everything, and he's like, well, I got to find a woman to do that, or I need to be with a girl to do that, and I can't with my lifestyle and everything. I'm just like, world's smallest violin. I don't give a shit.
So does the documentary cast him in like a biased light or an unbiased light, or is it?
It feels like the documentarians didn't like it. Someone with an eye to, if someone were to, okay, here's the thing. So the documentary does not necessarily go into what this means for our culture or what this means for their view of society and view of their life and everything. Like there's some light touches of like, oh, they're living really empty lives and everything. They're just like us. But for the most part, it's basically just a way for them to, like, they don't, the documentary serves a lot of softballs at them because they're not, I feel like the impression I get is that the documentary wasn't meant to expose like the terrible life of the terribly empty life of the social media influencer. Instead, like the documentary was just showcasing what a social media influencer is, and then the subjects of the documentary were using that to expand their brand or get their brand out there. The 4th one that they followed was Paris Hilton.
She's still around?
She is. And okay, so throughout the documentary, I was like, you know what? I kind of have a weird respect for Paris Hilton because she was a socialite. She did her thing. She became she spearheaded this whole thing. And then she, for all intents and purposes, kind of got out and has like a bunch of businesses that she runs. And like she does a lot of she transitioned into that. But it's really hard to get behind her because this is something I just will never understand. She is like the opening of the documentary. She's talking about like, oh yeah, I have all my little Hiltons, which are what her fan base calls themselves. And like, they call me mom. And it's just this really nice piece of respect. And like, anytime I post anything, they're always there for me. They're always cheering me on. It's like, it's just feeding a narcissistic kind of view of the world. And I was just like, first of all, okay, if I become the first billionaire podcaster, no one call me dad. Like, fuck, like, let's put a pin on that for fucking ever. Like, no, I'm all set. But it's just like, it's just such a weird disconnect. And like, that kind of carries through. Like, there's points where she's like, you know, I kind of want to have kids, but I don't know if I'll ever have kids or anything. And like, it ends on a note that's like the most Paris Hilton thing. And like, it's kind of like this weird, I don't know if it was satire or if it was like meant to be comedic, but it was like, basically, it takes it to a whole nother level. I won't spoil it or anything, but the thing that I want to point out about Paris Hilton's segments in the movie is that, there was a part where my reaction was literally on this couch to go, whoa, because she is talking about how, like, she's telling her story about, like, how, like, you know, she became famous and, you know, she got her start being a model, blah, blah, blah. And then she says, like, and then I was on one of the first, like, reality shows for, like, internet celebrities. Like, I was on The Simple Life. And after it aired, there was this 30-second video of me and my ex-boyfriend that leaked. And
you mean the porn that you promoted?
No. I think this was a different one.
Oh.
Cause the porn, conveniently, the documentary doesn't touch on the porn that spearheaded the entire venture, her entire lifestyle. Right. That was clearly leaked for, you know, fame reasons. But again, that's another thing that's like, I think to answer your question from like an hour ago, yeah, I think it is a biased viewpoint. Like it's painting them in a light that's more positive than, like I said, being the dregs of society. But anyway, Paris Hilton literally says, and I swear to God, this is verbatim. Well, almost verbatim, but she says this almost exact thing because I can't remember exactly what it was. She's like, when that happened, I didn't want to leave my house. I just shut down. I didn't talk to anyone for what felt like months. It was like I had been raped. And I was like, holy fucking shit. Are you serious right now? Like, and it's said with just like complete lack of self-awareness. Just like it. Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, this documentary has lost me. But one thing that did kind of, very briefly hit the nail on the head was that like, the shithead guy, Slut Whisperer, and another thing, he's talking about how like, oh yeah, just, I gotta do the most provocative thing. I've gotta be as offensive as I can be. And like, it's showing like shit that he's posted. I'm like, oh, he's never gonna work for Disney. But he, which is funny because he actually had aspirations to be an animator for Disney. But anyway, he, says, I think it was him, he says that basically what it is that they are trying to cast as wide a net as they can with their social media stuff. They're going for the lowest common denominator. And I'm like, that is exactly why I fucking hate all of this. Like, because people like latch on, get millions of followers and everything. It's because they're doing the dumbest shit that's requiring the least amount of attention. They're Holmes and Watsoning everything. I think that's a callback to Patreon anyway. Cause
they'll get it.
Yeah, anyway. Patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. But yeah, the documentary is really not worth anyone's time. I wrote a big long review on Letterboxd about it though. But yeah, oh yeah. And another last big thing is that Slut Whisperer, earlier in the documentary, he's talking about how like he's getting tweets from quote unquote haters who think that he is disgusting, and how he's misogynistic, and how it's demeaning to go to clubs and just pour champagne down women's throats and everything. Which, yes, but he does make an okay point. That he's like, it's not like he's forcing, like these women are doing this because they want to. Yeah,
they want to be on the internet too.
Yeah,
so.
But he's like at his parents, and he's talking about how like he is basically responding to these trolls and these quote unquote haters, and like it's like just like fat jokes at people, and like just like really mean spirited stuff. And then later he's like he's doing like a 5-day like tour where he's going to clubs every night and partying, and then on a plane to go to the next one. And then he's like, yeah, I posted this picture of me, and it says like, I'll be dead tomorrow or something. And then people were like, oh, don't die before I get a chance to party with you. And he's like, it's just, it's kind of fucked up that, they don't care about me. I'm like, you were literally just cyberbullying people and being a dick. Like, and you've made your entire like enterprise out of, being as offensive as possible. Like, I have no sympathy for you. And also, you have enough money. Just fucking stop.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
No one's forcing you.
Exactly. So, anyway, the documentary is not worth the 2 hours I just spent talking about it, but yeah.
So much for that lightning potpourri.
I know, yeah. It's par for the course. But, and it's funny because this was supposed to be a bonus episode, right, which is usually just straight to the review, but there's a full episode. But anyway, happy New Year, guys. Yeah. So I think that'll about do it. I think me and Tiny might have one more episode here in the next week before like New Year's Eve. Hopefully we can get that put together in time. It'll be a review of Roma. If we don't, then we will see you in 2019 with our year in review episode. So having said that, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. And Fekkes, thank you for indulging me in that lightning potpourri.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. And now, here's a short clip from our Patreon exclusive RSS feed. To hear the full clip and more exclusive Patreon content, go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer and become a patron at the minimum rate of $1 per month. Thank you and enjoy. I don't know. I don't watch physical media that much.
See, I still watch physical media from, a movie standpoint, but I have a lot of, like television series. Like I have Simpsons, I have all the Family Guys up to a point. I have every single season of Futurama, but I can watch all of these on Hulu.
Exactly.
But I still what if Hulu gets rid of it one day?
That's true. Like I have all the Family Guy, but up until
The Obsessive Viewer podcast is edited and produced by Matt Hurt and presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. For a full archive of our episodes, go to obsessiveviewer.com/OV archive. You can also like our Facebook page and join the OV Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer, and follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer and at ObsessiveTiny, and follow our recurring co-hosts at I am Mike White, that's me, at R.A. Fekkes, and at Burger_Lurker. If you enjoy the show, please take a couple minutes to leave us a rating and a quick review on Apple Podcasts. This is the easiest way to support what we do, and all it costs is a little bit of your time. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate, or support us on Patreon for recurring donations and access to commentary tracks and B-roll audio recorded exclusively for patrons at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. Or you can simply search for Obsessive Viewer at teepublic.com, Teepublic.com. For information about our annual live event showcasing short horror films from local filmmakers, check out shocktober.irvington.com. And for an archive of all our events, as well as news about potential future events, head over to obsessiveviewer.com/live. For more podcast content, you can find Anthology, Matt's solo podcast covering The Twilight Zone, and other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows at anthologypod.com and on Twitter at OVAnthologyPod. You can also find Tower Junkies, a podcast where Matt and Tiny share their love of all things Stephen King and his magnum opus, The Dark Tower series, at towerjunkiespod.com and at towerjunkiespod on Twitter. And finally, check out The Secular Perspective, Tiny's side project podcast, which tackles current events and life's big questions from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda at thesecularperspective.com. The theme music for The Obsessive Viewer comes courtesy of the band Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. Additional bumper music is provided courtesy of As Good As It Gets, which can be found at facebook.com/asgoodasitgetsband. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!